Hello? Beep, 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 beep. Hello? I got the coughs this morning. It's because I was teaching the warrior teachers yesterday. I had 8-hour sessions. It was brilliant, but my voice is a bit croaky this morning because of it. So great. There was a group that finished the first part of year one, or finished year one. They're moving into year two next month. Amazing. So really excited I was about that yesterday. But I finished that 10-part thing on the NHS. I don't know whether you watched it. The last one went out yesterday with the revelation that if you're microaggressing someone, that causes them to have cancer and diabetes and obesity. This is the NHS, right? If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's absolutely insane. Warrior Teacher program starting in April, right? So if you want to come, time, I'm going to update the website and stuff in the next couple of days, but I'm having a rest first right now. But I want to raise a point. I want to start a conversation, and you aren't going to like it. So let's get down to nitty-gritties. Over the last few days, I have spent some time talking to parents and asking a few questions online, just to get a flavour of something that I'm a little bit concerned about, but that you're all concerned about. But it's an angle that I've not really considered to such a great extent before. So I started off by being provocative, which is always the best way to go because it gets people to respond to you, doesn't it? Ooh, they get earthy. And I put up a thing saying, all of these films should be on the curriculum at 30. And I started the list with The Exorcist, Natural Born Killers and Fight Club, right? Right, okay. With a view to saying, essentially, stop fanning about and infantilizing not just kids, but adults, because we do it all the damn time, right? And I got some really interesting replies and a couple of messages and some very angry faces. Oh, my kid watching The Exorcist, which is, of course, I understand where you're coming from. Absolutely spot on. But what came out of that was really some conversations that I had and a couple of people that I spoke to who were just as concerned by this as I was, but hadn't considered the angle I'm about to give you. And I want you to consider the angle I'm about to give you. And I want to start a conversation around this because I think it's very important. As you may or may not be aware, there is going to be a review and a rewrite, or not a review, a rewrite of the national curriculum. This is being done by Bridget Phillipson, who recently met with Catherine Birbalsingh. I don't know whether you've read it, but it didn't go well. It didn't go well at all. Now, any person who's in charge of education in this country who came into power and thought we need to make our country the best it can be and educate our children to the highest degree would go to Catherine Birbalsingh and say, "Here, Kath, how'd you do it?" At which point Catherine, who is a marvellous individual, will say, "I'll tell you exactly. Here's a 100-point plan." You would then take that plan and you would go to every school headmaster and you would say, "Headmaster, here's a 100-point plan. Do this, will you, love?" Because they've got results just below Eton. Is that what she's done? No. What's she done? She's putting together a team which includes wokesters and intersectional feminists, right, to write the curriculum. Now, if you don't think this is a problem, then you are not understanding what's going on. And I mean that with love, right? You're not understanding what's going on. It is a huge problem that is going to happen. And it is a very, very dangerous thing from our perspective because they are going to stick EDI, DEI, critical social justice, blah, 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 all the stuff around the fetid teats of critical social justice. They're going to put it all in their curriculum. I will promise you that. That they will do that. So I then asked parents what examples they could give me of where this was occurring, because I know it is because of Protect and Teach, a group with the warrior teachers that are currently doing very in-depth analysis and examinations of what's currently in schools and what's being done by outside agencies, more importantly. So this is about the kids. So I said, right, okay, what's been happening, what's going on? The youngest one so far is 8 years old. That's when they're starting them on this. That's when they first introduced them to inclusivity and equity. Is 8 years old. Now sit down for a second and get your head around that. 8 years old. That's when they're starting. The next one I had was 10 years old. Now, there was a lady who I must find, I must find and I must thank, because put up on a tweet, what I thought was a superb idea, which I want to share with you now, but I think is only the beginning of an idea that we need to discuss. And that was that she'd supplied her 10-year-old, with a list of 10 words, which the 10-year-old had memorized. The 10-year-old wouldn't necessarily understand the words. The 10-year-old wouldn't necessarily understand what was behind the words, but they would recognize when the words were spoken or written. So the 10-year-old's got the list of words, and off the 10-year-old goes to school. One of those words comes up. The 10-year-old brings mum as soon as possible. At which point, mum can ring the school and go, what the hell are you playing at? Right? I think there's something in that from the perspective of a 10-year-old. But that led me down a darker road still, which is the darker road that I want us to talk about. And I want you to let me know what you think, either in the comments here, or let's start the conversation on Twitter. Like, subscribe, share this, the usual, right? Is this. It is a horrifying thought that it is possible parents are going to have to weaponize their child. Because if your child is 11, 12, 13, goes into school, and that's the first time they're introduced to this EDI, DEI, critical social justice, critical race theory, gender ideology, queer theory, be a furry, all the rubbish that comes with it. If the first time they're introduced to that, for example, is when they are 13 years old and they're in school, at that point, your child is gone. Your child is no longer a child unless they are armoured to keep this shite out. To be able to say, right, okay, I recognise what this is what mum told me about, this is what dad told me about, and will then immediately ring mum and dad. Now, if I'm right about that, and I've got the horrible feeling I am, that the minute the child is introduced to this, that is the beginning of the end of their childhood. They are done. They are at that point being made into activists by Freirean-driven teachers in the education system who are intent upon inculcating your child into their cult beliefs. Now, we know this is happening. You know it's happening. We've seen it. And ever since I've been working with the warrior teachers, and particularly the first batch that joined me from America, this was the game. This is what happened to their kids in various locations, be it schools or youth groups or whatever. So my argument for you this morning is, the minute the child is introduced to this, the minute the indoctrination begins, your child is no longer a child. Your child is a weapon. And that weapon is aimed at you. And I think we knew this. I knew it. But I think having it discussed as a cold, hard truth might be useful. And the cold, hard truth is, I think you're going to have to weaponize your child before they do. And I don't see any other way around it. Please, can we have this conversation? Because I ain't got kids. I don't know nothing about them. Funny things, right? Am I right or am I wrong? If so, there's no point in parents going in grieving about it. We've actually got to get ahead of this one. And I think the idea of the list of words is very clever. And I think that could work if we did it big enough. Here's the list of words. You give it to the child. Say to the child, right, sit there. We're going to memorize this. Make it a game. Right, you ever hear any of those words come out of your teacher's mouths, or any of those words come out of your fellow students' mouths, you call me immediately. This may well be a very simple way to gather parents to ensure that by informing their child beforehand, i.e., by giving the child the armour needs as a combatant in this fight, it may well prevent unbelievable damage, physically, mentally, emotionally, down the road. Because the first time somebody utters the words in front of that child, when they have authority over that child is no longer a child. It is a pawn. You let me know what you think, because I'm nuts. What do I know? Anyway, I'll see you later. Have a great day. I need a rest. Bye-bye, everyone. Come buy me a coffee, eh? Ta-ta.